everybody, and welcome back to Minor League Esports 2, presented by APM Music. My name is Bass from the past, and joined alongside me once again is Chaser. Chaser, welcome back to the booth, my friend. We had an incredible first series, which was full of, I'd say, some high-scoring affairs, and then now in game number 2, or in series number 2, I should say, we've got the Shadows and the Flame, who are a little bit closer in ranking this time.
Yeah, they are definitely a little closer. Both teams from the Tropic Division. The Shadows sitting at 8-2 in first place in that division. The Flames at 6-4, second in the division. And man, oh man, we've got some players who have not played a game yet so far in this lobby as well. Mighty and Mr. Rares Gamer, both for the Shadow, have not played yet, as Logic has been in both games that they have played so far, scoring 16 goals as well, and leading the team, I believe, in that category. The Flames, they're going to be throwing out one player who has not played yet in Dual Dyer, I believe is how that's pronounced. If I am wrong, I do apologize. Villain and Justin are also joining them on the pitch, though, and this duo could be one of the better ones here in Foundation League.
We're going to have to find out. It's really going to be one of these things where it's going to be the duo versus the one, as you mentioned. Logic, a very strong player, and at this point, it's going to be whether or not you can slow them down. 16 goals is not an easy feat by any stretch of the imagination, so this game's going to be pretty interesting. I would not be surprised if it's another, I'd say, slugfest, where just back and forth we see shot after shot after shot after shot. I don't necessarily know who I'm going to favor in a battle like that, because, as you mentioned, I am a little bit nervous for the Shadow with two players who have not necessarily been able to play before, and I believe Rares Gamer is also a European player, so they're playing at a ping disadvantage. This could be one of these things where, as great as your offense may be, the defense may falter a couple too many times.
It's going to be a battle. I would say that the Shadow have a big-time battle with a big-time opponent as well, so it's going to come down to, like you said, are these players ready to play? And is that ping disadvantage going to really be a big disadvantage? It remains to be seen. The Shadow, they've got the right record, and they've got the right type of player with Logic on there with them. Just have to see what happens.
Indeed we will, and it looks like game number 1 is ready and underway here. Shadow and the Black Flames in the orange. This is going to be a battle and a half. This first kickoff is going to be incredibly important. First team to score will probably take a whole lot of momentum in the series, and already the Flames are on top.
And a big kickoff as well coming out from the Flames. A good challenge from Villain, and just gets that nice pinch into the empty net. A little bit too far away where the defense from the Shadow. So quick strikes coming out from the Flames. Exactly what you want to see if you're a fan of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. A great start so far here. And now for the Shadow, the question is whether or not they can rebound and give a good response here. Not quite able to break out of their half yet here in Chaser. We're starting to fall into some of the issues we saw in the last series. When a team gets into defense, they panic if they've got too much pressure against them. And for the Shadow right now, they're trying to avoid that panic, but are playing a bit too patiently because of it.
Now the Flames are lighting up the Shadows and not allowing them to have very much space. So we'll have to see now. The Shadow are fighting back the Flames a little bit, and they have an opportunity. Rares Gamer's up, and a great job in the air to get that to tie. A tie game here once again.
I can't really blame the defender in net here for kind of just sitting there with their jaw agape here, as Rares just backs into this one, uses the back of their car and slams that one home. A great way to equalize, and a great way to show that even at 180 ping, they're still going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and it looks like Logic is going to get this started once again for the Shadow. Rares is there. Good challenge onto Villain, but now a runner the other way. Dual Dyer is going to put it to the back wall, and it's going to roll up and out of danger it goes. Great clear coming out once again from Logic. They're going to try to make something happen here for the Shadow. Not able to make contact there. Mighty's going to get challenged by Villain. A good 50 once again, dropping straight down into a waterfall. Villain is up, but Logic is going to be first to this ball. A couple of misses actually from both players. And Mighty getting the big clear for the Shadow.
Now we're starting to see a bit of a pattern develop here. The Shadow, they're playing very aggressively, and this is something you and I were talking about before we started this game. The defense is going to be important for them, because at a new roster like this, where they're trying out some different players, their rotations aren't necessarily going to be as clean as usual. So for the Shadow right now, they need to focus on trying to figure out how they want to play defense. Too many times we've seen all three of those players pushed up way past midfield and leaving themselves vulnerable for a counterattack.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's going to come down to Logic, the veteran of this squad right now. The pace from Logic has been very good, and as a challenge comes in and into the middle it goes. It's going to get cleared away for the time being, but Rares has been on the offensive side scoring the goal for the Shadow so far. We'll have to see if that is kind of their go-to for a striker in this series as well.
It may be, but at this point, they really have got to focus on a couple of different things besides one player being that striker. They need to get a clean rotation from every single player, because in game number 1, both teams have looked a little bit awkward here, trying to figure out how they want to play against their opponents. But I will say this, the Flames, despite only being at a 1-1 scoreline, have taken advantage of their opponent's awkwardness many more times than the Shadow.
Yeah, and there's another opportunity for them to do so again, as Justin sending it across the pitch and into the opposite corner now. It's kind of just bouncing there. Logic's going to take a shot and have a go at net. It's going to find a way in, ducking just underneath that crossbar.
We're going to keep emphasizing defense because it's so incredibly important. And when you have no defenders in net, because all three of you are pushed up to midfield, it's going to take one defensive error, and that's all it is. Justin can't make the save on the line, and all of a sudden the Shadow are up 2-1. And I gotta say, Mr. Rare's Gamer at this point has really impressed me. They're number 1 on their team in terms of points right now, and they're also number 1 in terms of ping in the lobby, still at 180.
I feel like ping should be like golf. You're trying to get a lower score, but in this situation, Mr. Rares is just content with that 180 ping. Maybe they're used to playing on the American servers as opposed to the European ones. I mean, with this, you tend to see a lot more of that happening for the friends across the pond. So we'll see what happens going forward for them. But Logic is going to set that one into the offensive zone. Mighty going to take a pop at this. Has an opportunity, just missing the shot, hitting it with the bottom side of their car. Logic is going to be last back here. Going to the backboard for the Flames is Justin, but a good job controlling the ball are the Shadow.
They're doing a great job so far here of making sure that this awkward play continues. Both halves, if they see any sort of hesitancy or any sort of, I'd say, misplay, they jump without a second hesitation here. And unfortunately for the Flames, they've had a couple of good opportunities where the Shadow have been awkward. When it comes time for a solid shot, they just can't put it on target. Another one out of duel there is not going to find its way into the back of the net. With only about 70 seconds remaining, it is do or die time for the Flames. They started off very strong in this game with a kickoff goal, but since then they've been kind of silent.
Maybe that's their game plan. Maybe their game plan is to go to kickoff goals. Well, they're going to get another kickoff because Logic is going to get another goal on the board for the Shadow. And just a good offensive pressure coming through for him. Mighty getting it past everybody on the Flames defense, and just nice, easy tap it in from Logic.
Yeah, with only about 60 seconds remaining, there's absolutely a chance now for the Flames to try and bring this one back. And like you said, they could be relying on kickoff goals, but I don't necessarily like teams who rely on that kickoff goal as one of their main strategies. As much as I do believe, having a good kickoff strategy can help you in a game, kickoff goals aren't usually going to win you a game. You need to make sure that your rotations are clean elsewhere besides just kickoff. And right now, we're not necessarily seeing that out of the Flames. They've been in awkward positions on too many different occasions. And now I need to see them try and play with a little bit more precision. They can try and give themselves some better rotations. I think they can keep themselves in this series, but 30 seconds remaining. It's more about keeping themselves within this game because they got a second goal and they have got a chance now to turn this one around.
Yeah, and it just comes off of a defensive error here from Mighty. Duel is able to recorrect themselves and get that ball into the net, so good job on them. Just applying a lot of pressure onto Mighty in that situation, so good awareness coming through from the Flames there.
Great awareness, but the question is whether or not they can now run with the momentum. 20 seconds remaining, and they've got a good chance on offense here. Logic misses the ball. Is anyone there? Villain doesn't make the touch. Mr. Rares is in front, and so is Mighty, and they will get the save. A huge opportunity, and the Flames will still capitalize. A miss in front of the net, and somehow we are equaled up.
It looked like it might have been going in, but then a little bit of a team bump comes through, and Mighty was able to get another touch on it, sending it to the corner, but it goes straight down, and Villain is able to get it past everybody else. There's 11 seconds remaining. We have a tie ball game here, and we've already seen the Flames have a kickoff goal. Are they going to have another one in store here?
Oh, wait a minute. This could go the other way. Off the backboard. Is anyone there for the Shadow? Mighty puts it off the post. Another huge chance, but no capitalization. I'm about to rip my hair out, Chaser. I don't know how much more of this I can take.
I got a big, beautiful beard, and my beard hair is getting ripped out. If it was me playing this game, another one goes off the post from Mr. Rares Gamer, and now the Flames go the other way. Oh, man, there's a couple of great opportunities for the Shadow, and they have not come to pass in their favor. Duel is going to put this one into the middle. A big clear coming out, but no, it's a little bit too soft. Logic is going to allow Justin to hit this ball. It goes into the corner. Logic with a good read off of that and will send it downfield. Mr. Rares Gamer sends it down into the opposite corner here. Here's another good opportunity for the Shadow. A bump for Logic, and no, Villain will come back and retake the ball in possession for the Flames.
A huge chance now for the Flames, but unfortunately, yep, again, this over-aggression has put them in an awkward position. Pass out to Mr. Rares. The shot off target, though. Again, good positioning so far from the Shadow here. They are not cracking under the pressure nearly as much as their opponents, and unfortunately for the Flames, they've got to try and calm themselves down. As you can see, 2 players out of midfield. Meanwhile, their third has pushed way too far up. It's just awkward position after awkward position, and eventually the Shadow are going to capitalize as they win game number 1.
And Logic, the key to this play with the demo on the goal line, and a nice easy ball into the middle of the net from Mighty. And like you said, the Shadow, they take this one in OT. At one point, it didn't look like it was going to be that way, but they do, in fact, do just that. And goals all the way around, everybody getting in on the goal scoring for the Shadow.
Yeah, they did a great job of making sure that everybody played their role correctly, and that's exactly what happened. Do want to give a huge shout out to Mr. Rares Gamer, though. Again, at 180 ping, we were kind of wondering whether or not he would be a factor in this series whatsoever, because it's not easy to try and play on, and really, they've done a great job at that. A goal for them, 2 saves, as well as 3 total shots, and they've been all over the place despite their ping. So now I'm starting to wonder for the Flames if they maybe came into this one with a little bit too much hesitancy, and we're thinking, oh, you know, the other team doesn't necessarily have the normal lineup. They're probably going to be a little bit awkward. And then as soon as they figured out that the Shadow actually did have a strategy, now it's just kind of panic.
And it's weird because the Flames actually started out with that quick kickoff goal off that 50 from Villain, just pinching it into the empty net of the Shadow. And then since that point, it really hasn't shown like the Flames had a big strategy. They get the 1 goal there late in regulation to tie it. But yeah, it just seemed like the Shadow had the number of the Flames.
Yeah, 100%. That really just seems like the Shadow were very aware of everything the Flames were trying to do. The question is whether or not they can keep that momentum going into game number 2. These are very close teams. To put it simply, this really does have the makings of a series that could go either way. So I'm interested. I want to know what the Flames' response is going to be, and if it's going to be another kickoff goal, as I thought they might have been able to get, I was going to be surprised. But to be honest, at this point, I'm not exactly sure what to expect with this series besides a ton of goals getting scored.
Yeah, it's going to be an offensive outpouring on both sides of the field. Duel is going to take a shot at this. It's going to be saved out there by Mighty. Good power on it as well, as Logic will take it over there, getting it at midfield and into the corner, trying to win that 50 in that corner and set it into the middle for somebody, either Mighty or Mr. Rares. Mighty is not going to make contact on that one. Logic will be tasked with sending it back into the offensive zone. That pop-up is going to be a little bit awkward here for the Flames. They're going to wait and let it fall and make a good concise effort at getting the ball out to midfield.
And the question is whether or not they can run with this now, though, because Duel does have a shot, but Rares is there, but that's not the greatest save, and Duel will capitalize. A little bit of awkwardness on the defense is all it took, and the Flames are on top.
And it looked like Mr. Rares was trying to get it over to the opposite corner, the far post corner, and just did not get enough power on that clear there. And unfortunately for them, the Flames were there to capitalize. Great job of applying that pressure and not really allowing anything to happen. They get the first goal for the second game in a row as well. So now let's see if they can keep that momentum in their favor.
We're going to try to here, but unfortunately some more awkward positions as 2 of them are on the side here. The 3-man rotation still something I need to see more emphasis from on the Flames side. They're playing well as a unit here, but I feel like there's a lot of opportunities where they could have been playing a little bit more aggressively if they had players in the right position. Not the Shadow necessarily playing a perfect rotation, but they seem like they're a little bit more in control of the pace because they're just in the right place at the right time.
And they're also looking for each other, it seems like, a little bit more. You know, you've seen passes come out, albeit they may not have connected on a shot attempt, but they are looking for each other, and which is something you may not necessarily think to see at a Foundation League level. So good on the Shadow in looking for those passing plays.
100%. We saw this in the last series. That was kind of make or break for a lot of these teams. If they wanted to get through the defense, they had to do something a little bit more intricate with their passing. And so far, the Shadow are trying to do something intricate here, but I'm wondering whether or not that's actually becoming a hindrance to them. Oh, because simple shots like that are what we're hoping for. C-Ball put it on net, and that's exactly what Logic does to tie up the game.
Yeah, see ball, hit ball, score ball, and Logic does get that back to a level game for the Shadow. Sometimes it comes down to just quantity of shots as opposed to quality. At this level, you might get some mistakes that you're not really expecting to get at other levels of Rocket League. And now they're going to have another one. Logic gets another goal back-to-back and gives the Shadow the lead.
And I think Logic is now starting to figure out a strategy here, and he's recognizing that the defense is leaving the goal open on multiple different occasions. On the last one they did it, on this one they did it, and even if the angle is not that easy to slot in, they're going to try and take the shot anyways because it's going to force more awkwardness. Flames right now need to focus on their defense once again. This is something we had hinted upon in game number 1, and now, oh my word, I thought it was going to be important in game number 2, but as there's a mistouch on the defense, the Shadow will allow the equalizer.
Yeah, and it kind of goes in off the car of Mr. Rares as well. So I believe it was going to be going onto the far post if nobody was there to save it anyway. So I can't really say one way or the other whether that was going to be a goal or not, but it did definitely look like it. So good job of attempting to save that, but just a little bit off on the placement of the car. Flames do tie it back up, and they are going to have another opportunity to score and take the lead, as that's going to be a shot onto an empty net. Crossbar, follow-up shot comes in from Justin. That's going to hit the crossbar as well. The clear comes out, and man, oh man, the Shadow are really counting their lucky stars.
Oh my word, I can't believe how many of these in a row the Shadow are going to be able to endure, but they might still give themselves a chance because with 2 minutes remaining, all they need is one good offense. Oh, but similarly, the Flames need one good capitalization, and they cannot. 2 players go for the ball there in front of the net, and they can't do much with it. And with an open net on the other end, the Shadow will capitalize.
And Mr. Rares is going to get the goal on that one. And just recognizing the rotation not there for the Flames and just putting it right down the middle and into the net it goes. Another lead here for the Shadow. They're looking to keep it going.
There's a chance they can try and run with this momentum, but as it stands right now, I really do feel like the Flames have a chance to try and turn this around at any moment. They've been way too aggressive and way too focused on their offense, and as a result, their defense is getting more and more awkward every single time. And unfortunately for the Flames, this is really not a game you want to give up as they go down 4-2, because they lose this one, their opponents are going to be on match point.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see. I mean, we saw that in the last series as well. The team that had the two-game advantage was able to run away with it. I don't suspect that will be happening here, as both teams, like we've said already, are very evenly matched in this matchup. So you would expect to see some fight back coming out from the Flames if this scoreline remains at 4-2 in the game, but you got to expect to see some more goals coming from both these teams. They've shown that they are ready to score a lot of goals so far, and I would think they're going to continue.
I gotta imagine this is going to be an offensive showing for sure, but with only about 90 seconds left, the showing needs to be for the Flames, because Shadow, they're back on offense once again, keeping this pressure up, and they're doing a good job of prioritizing defense correctly right now. Part of that, I think, is the rotations that they're starting to pull out. We're seeing a much better rotation out of the Shadow than when they started off this series, but the unfortunate truth is that as great as it has been, there's enough time here that if the Flames get 1 or 2 good shots on target, they can bring themselves back into this game within an instance.
And we've already seen that they're capable of scoring quick pickoff goals as well. So, I mean, if they get one, be ready for a second one to possibly be on target as well. And, oh, no, this could be a goal attempt for the Shadow, but Dula's going to get back to it and is going to be able to put it to the corner. This ball back into the box. It's going to be cleared away once again by Justin. This one's going to go to the backboard from Logic. Mighty is there, just a little bit off on that shot, and it goes a little high and wide. All right back in, though, for the Shadow. Flames just trying to keep the Shadow at bay.
Yeah, I think that's really the best way to put it here, is just keep them at bay, because at this point the Shadow are having overwhelming offensive pressure, and they're hoping that they don't find one into the back of the net here, but it's not really going to matter in my opinion, because with only 20 seconds left and how difficult it has been for the Flames to get a shot here at the end of the game, I don't think they've got the time to bring this one back. They do get one more offensive push, but as Villain misses this one, Mighty not going to put the nail in the coffin, as they do miss the shot, but they're going to waste enough time that this game is going to end anyways. The Shadow will take the victory and move on to game point. Flames are looking good right now, Chaser, but I don't know if they have enough offensive and defensive prowess to really stop the Shadow in their current form.
Yeah, the Shadow have been very good on both ends of the field and not really allowing any big opportunities for the Flames. And when they do allow the opportunities, they've been very well on the defensive end to not let it go to the back of the net. They're the dangerous level is not that high. They're not quality chances. So I would expect to see more of that from the Shadow. The one mistake coming in early on in that game, I believe that was from Mr. Rares, just dropping that one into Duel's lap, and they were able to score that first goal of the game. But you would expect to see more offense coming out from both these teams going forward still. I mean, we had 7 goals in game 1, 6 through regulation. I think we're averaging six a game right now in regulation. So it's going to be an offensive just dominance from both teams.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest separators, though, is how much you're focusing on that offense versus the defense here. The Shadow have exactly double the saves the amount that the Flame have. The Flame only have 2 saves throughout that entire game. Meanwhile, the Shadow have a total of 4. And not only do they have a total of 4, but they're shooting the exact same, too. Shadow have a total of 8 shots. The Flames have a total of 8 shots. So that real difference between the two teams right now is coming off the back of the defense. I think the Shadow are prioritizing that a little bit more, which is cutting off some of these awkward angles. Meanwhile, the Flames, it really does seem when they get into defense, they're not quite sure what to do. They're kind of just waiting for that opportunity to go back into offense rather than prioritizing surviving the onslaught that's coming from their opponents.
Yeah, and again, it comes down to looking for each other on the passing as well. We've seen some passes come from the Shadow that are a little bit, I don't know, more quality. Maybe they generate a little bit better opportunities on the offensive side. Hey, maybe the Flames are going to have to start looking for those. I mean, that might be something to adjust that makes it so you guys have a little bit better offensive opportunities as a shot comes in and is saved away by Mr. Rares. But in the Shadow have had good opportunities, and the Flames, they've had opportunities. They have to find something a little bit different, though, to get through this defense.
Yeah, 100%. I think capitalization upon opportunities is another huge separating factor for many different teams. If you get a chance to score a goal, you really cannot squander it. Oh, my word. And they will not. Some awkward play in front of the net here, but Justin finds a couple whiffs and finds the first goal of this game.
And just in off that post as well. That's one of my favorite shots because I love using that woodwork myself. But just in off that post, see what I did there? Just in as well. But just in off the post. And yeah, they have a lead here once again. They've done it before. We'll look to continue it forward now.
The question is whether or not they can hold on to that. I think if they get some good offensive pressure, they might be able to at least extend this lead. But as soon as they get a comfortable enough lead, I want to see that adjustment to where they prioritize defense a little bit greater. They've got a chance right now. Villain is there, but oh my word, it's a risky push up there. If that touch had not come, it would have been all 3 players in the final third of the pitch, and they would have had an easy counterattack for the Shadow. Shadow, though, still do have a bit of a counterattack here. Awkward plays all around. Rares out of midfield will continue this offense, but this is the issue for the Flames. They go all in on offense, and when it comes time for them to make the adjustment and start playing defense, they look incredibly panicked the whole time.
Yeah, the transition game definitely seems to favor the Shadow so far throughout the series. And I would expect that that's kind of an adjustment that needs to come from the Flames, their transition game. Here comes another opportunity as Logic sends it into the middle, and oh man, almost gets it right to Mr. Rare's gamer. But it is going to go to the corner. Mighty will challenge there. Big hit off the back wall. A double commit comes out from Duel and Justin. It's going to be in a good spot for Justin to take a shot. It's going to be saved by Logic. Still in a dangerous spot, but Logic is able to get a secondary touch, and it does go away from the middle. It's still in the offensive zone here, though, for the Flames.
We're definitely seeing a little bit more priority on, I'd say, defense, at least out at midfield. I'm not going to say that we're starting to see a solid back line quite yet, as there have been some weird touches that have gone awry that I think should not be happening in the first place, but we're starting to see a little bit of a midfield presence to where each team is trying to keep that pressure on offense for more extended periods of time. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the change I'm looking for right here out of the Flames, because I think they need to focus on that final third more than they need to focus on midfield, but I am at least appreciating a bit of defensive prioritization that we're seeing on the pitch.
Yeah, and they have played pretty well on the back line as well, but like you said, it's been more focused on the middle third of the field right now. Villain is going to send this one into the offensive third here. Ball off the back wall. That's a good opportunity, and now a double commit for the Flames. This is another opportunity for the Shadow. Mighty doesn't have any boost. We'll try to send it into the middle for a teammate, but not going to find anybody there, and the Flames are able to get away with it.
Get away with it, I think, is really the biggest word that you're using out of all of this, is because I think that's kind of what we're starting to see right now, is that the Shadow are giving themselves good opportunities on offense. They're getting chances here, but somehow the Flames keep getting away without getting scored on. And another perfect example there. 2 players would have had the shot, and instead it's a counterattack that goes in favor of Duel, and now the Flames are up 2-0.
Yeah, and that double commit was really big. Mighty Mighty was retreating back, but Logic was not quick enough to get to the challenge that needed to be there for against Duel's shot. So great flick coming out from Duel to give the Flames a 2-goal lead.
Question is whether or not they can hold on to that 2-goal lead here. There are 100 seconds left on the clock, and it's a miss in front of the net. Oh no, that is possibly the most heartbreaking way for the Flames to give up that 2-goal lead.
Well, at least they got that insurance marker there, and a little bit of a misplay from Villain, like you said, just backflipping away from it. And you hate to see it if you're a Flame. You love to see it if you're a Shadow member, though, because now you have that life to breathe into the play.
There's now a chance for them to try and pull this one back here. I've got to imagine that the confidence is at an all-time high, and if they can get one good offensive push, they might just be able to bring themselves back into this game and at least take us into overtime. But a lot easier said than done. I will say this is probably the best offense we've seen so far out of the Flame. Even if their defense is still spotty, which is something we've mentioned many times here today, their offense is at least looking pretty solid.
Their defense almost gave up another opportunity, but they were able to make contact on that shot attempt and clear it away quickly. Justin is up, gets a couple of touches off that, but a great save coming out from Logic. Has to make another save as well, and now gets another clear for their name as well. Man, oh man, Logic just trying to set the team up for success, but nobody is on that side of the field to make a play happen, and Mr. Rare's a little bit of a pre-jump, not going to make contact on that either. Justin going to set it up for the Flames.
It's interesting to see the, I'd say, panic and sort of nervousness that we're seeing now out of Shadow. They were very coordinated earlier in the series to where they were getting good passing plays, making sure that everyone is in the right place at the right time, but now they're getting impatient. The first game in quite some time where they are down this late into the series, and they're rushing the ball on repeat. An early jump out of Mighty is not going to benefit him, so Logic has to get into the backup position and make that save, and that's sort of what we're seeing on repeat right now, is that we're seeing these saves out of different players on the Shadow, but it's saving it from another player on their own team, making sure that they don't get scored upon more. The Shadow needs some confidence right now. They're not challenging nearly as aggressively, and they're not controlling the pace of play. And as a result, I think that they might just give up. Indeed, they do. Their first game of the series, as now the Flames start their fight for a reverse sweep.
And they have life in the series here with a 2-1 Game 3 victory, and now they have their first game on the board as well. So, like you said, reverse sweep is still intact, so we can still keep that broom just kind of off in the corner a little bit and ready for a possible Game 5 where the Flames have an opportunity. But yeah, no, the pace of play definitely favoring the Flames here in this last game.
100%. I think that the Shadow are a little bit disoriented from everything that they're seeing on the pitch. They were so used to how they were playing in the first couple of games that as soon as the Flames had a bit of a winning strategy and they had that lead that wasn't erased within moments as we had seen previously, they got a little bit nervous. So right now for everybody off of the Shadow, I think that this is still a very winnable series, but the biggest thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to give yourself a little bit more confidence and try and play this a little bit more precisely. Something we mentioned in the last series, and it's something I will mention here again. At this rank, you tend to see players who just touch the ball for the sake of touching it. It's kind of the meta right now in Rocket League. Don't do that. Just touch the ball precisely, and if you don't need to touch it, don't touch it. Leave it for your teammates. You have a great rotation, and if you can rely on that enough here in game number 4, you might just be able to close out the series.
Yeah, don't do what my name says. Do not chase the ball and just hit the ball for no reason. We'll find out what's going to happen here, though. Are the Shadow going to take advantage and win this series and go to Game 5 with that 3-1 intact, or are we going to see the dreaded reverse sweep still intact going into Game 5? Stay tuned here. We have 30 seconds off the clock, and it's been in the Flames half for most of that time. Mighty's going to put it across the front of the net. Logic is there, and Logic's going to give the lead to the Shadow.
And that's how you do it. That's how you give your team some confidence. You finally see a mistake out of the Flames, and you capitalize within seconds there. Duel just not prepared for the miss on the backboard there. But to be fair, Justin wasn't prepared for the miss out of Villain on the side. So one defensive misplay is all it took, and all of a sudden the Flames fell apart, and the Shadow capitalized within a moment's notice.
And they have another opportunity to do so as well, as that one found its way in front of the open net again. Ball into the middle again. It's going to be the dynamic duo of Mighty and Logic, but Logic just putting that a little bit too much power off of that crossbar. Mighty trying to keep the play in the offensive third. Logic now getting a second touch possibly. It does. It goes straight to Mr. Rares, and there's nobody in net for the Flames.
This is a much better rotation we're already seeing here out of the Shadow. They are not playing nearly as panicked. Now that they've got their confidence back, they're keeping a 3-man rotation, which keeps that pressure on offense. And this is what we were looking for out of the Shadow. They did not seem to have this in game number 3. Now in game number 4, they're starting off beyond hot. They're starting off, I'd say, on fire, to put it simply. Oh, but maybe I should have waited a second, bite my tongue here, as all of a sudden the Flames get themselves a kickoff goal.
Yeah, you got to cool your jets or the smoke's going to come in too hot here. Great shot coming in from Villain to get it right back to within 1. So the Flames showing they still have a lot of fight left in them.
Absolutely. They are not quite done with this series yet, and with almost 4 minutes remaining, they've got now a chance to actually equal out the series, or excuse me, equal out the game. They would equal out the series if they win this one, but let's take it a step at a time as they do get the 2-2 scoreline.
Yeah, and that's a great play all around from all 3 members of the Flames. You know, Villain sacrificing themselves there, and Justin's able to get another touch, and then all of a sudden, oh, here's Duel taking that shot to get the goal to tie it right back up. So good all-around team play coming out from the Flames, and they're going to have another chance at it here. Villain's going to get this one, and just like that, snap of a finger, 3 goals unanswered.
3 goals in a row, and I'm a little bit taken back right now because this was not what I was expecting, to put it simply here. Shadow had a really strong start. I thought they had figured out a lot of their issues, but as 3 goals in a row on 3 shots, 100% shooting for the Flames, they seem to know exactly where those holes in the defense are, and they are picking at them on repeat. They're making the Flames look, they're making the Shadow look foolish at this point. Shadow need to gain their confidence back. They need a good goal here. They need to give themselves some sort of chance to keep this series in their favor, and they will. Mighty finds a great shot on target.
Great power coming out from this Dominus as well, putting it just over top of Justin. Villain almost getting there to make that 50 and be in the favor of the Flames, but that long card just stretching out a little bit too far for the Flames defense and banging that one home.
Huge chance now, though, for the Flames to try and get another goal on the board, and indeed they will. Really, kickoff goals seem to be the name of the game right now for the Flame. That's 2 in 1 game, and that's a lead reestablished.
And they are red hot right now, are the Flames. Great shot coming out off the kickoff. Good patience as well from Villain to get that one towards the net and in a position where there was nobody on defense for the Shadow. And it's looking to do it again as they bang it down into the offensive half. And another shot coming in possibly here, but Logic's going to have to make a save, and followed up by Mighty. And man, oh man, the Flames, I believe that was the first. No, they didn't even get credit for a shot there, so they still have 100% shooting accuracy right now.
This is it's starting to turn into a bit of an awkward game, though. Both halves are starting to panic. Maybe it's because of the fact that we are on game number 4, where if the Flames win this one, they bring us to an equal score line. But something's in the air right now. These teams are playing very haphazardly. They're making some weird touches I wouldn't expect. They're making some rotations that leave them vulnerable, and they're making whiffs that are really not going to be beneficial in any way, shape, or form. Although, I don't know if a whiff is ever going to be beneficial. But at about half this game remaining, we need to see some more precision. Both teams are playing this one, I'd say, a bit too risky, and as a result, neither one of them really have momentum in their favor.
Yeah, right now I would say the Flames definitely have a little bit more in their favor, but it's very minuscule amount of momentum in that favor. Here comes a shot coming in from Logic, and there it is. Just like I said, momentum snatched away by the Shadow.
Immediately goes back into favor of the Shadow here, and to be honest, I think this is just precision. Logic waited and lurked in, well, the shadows here, and waited for that shot to arrive. Once they get an open net, they slam that home, and this is something Logic was doing earlier in the series as well, just waiting for a good opportunity, then shooting upon an open net. So if they see the strategy happen again, they're probably going to capitalize, but no, Mighty shot is off target. But as you can see, I think the Shadow have got a new strategy: wait for defensive errors and then strike while the iron is hot.
And Mighty's shot was mighty close as well, but not really close enough. They needed that bounce that they had gotten earlier on. Here comes Mr. Rares, but is going to get beaten to that ball by Justin now, who was looking for the demo onto Mighty. Mighty will keep possession, getting another one, gets a 50, sending it back towards midfield. Justin will try to meet it there, but does get beat to that ball by Logic. Out into the middle it goes. Villain is first to this one. Logic keeping the pressure on, bouncing into the middle. Mighty's there. Oh, just able to get there was Justin. And again, the Flames, they get another save to keep this at a level game.
I do like how the Flames are playing on defense right now. We've been critical of their defense multiple games in a row, but now we're starting to see them play a little bit more patiently and be in the right place at the right time. Speaking of which, Villain decides to just pop that one out, and Justin can catch it and start the counterattack. Some much better rotation we're seeing out of the Flames. The question is whether or not they can capitalize upon it. Oh, an open net. 2 open nets in a row, to be honest, and neither one of the shots goes even close to on target. Now the Shadow have a chance to take this one the other way. The Flames cannot squander opportunities like that, because with less than a minute remaining, I have a feeling the next goal might just be the last one.
As quickly as we've seen goals coming, they've come in just quick succession. It may or may not be. I mean, here's a shot coming in off the post, and that is another goal that goes away from the net instead. That was a great opportunity for the Shadow, and it's just going to come for nothing now.
Oh, it's so unfortunate. And I see someone in chat putting this one perfectly. Shout out to Dope Nose here, because you're putting this absolutely perfectly. Where is the cleanup crew? No cleanup crew needed on this one, as Mighty just gets a cross-court shot. But that's kind of the issue that we've seen on repeat, is shots like this go on, someone saves it, and then no one's there to follow up. But if you've got no defender, you don't need anyone to follow it up.
Absolutely. That one just goes top 90 as well. And another lead to the Shadow. There's the opportunity that they needed. Now here come the Flames, looking for that kickoff magic that they have had so far throughout the series. Up comes Villain, but is going to be beat to that ball by Mighty. 10 seconds on the clock, time ticking down. And the Shadow are having the ball in their offensive half, not allowing the Flames to really do anything. There's an opportunity. It's on the ground. It's towards the net. It's going to hit the ground just before going in. And the Shadow will wipe their brow and take away Game 4.
I don't know what to say. I'm sitting here with my hands on my head. That was the opportunity. The Flames just not enough power. And as a result, even if they do win game number 5, they will fall short in the series here. Heartbreaking way to go down here, as the Flames really did figure out what they needed to do at the end of the game. They started to play a little bit more patiently and focus on defense. And when I say focus on defense, they were the entirety of the defense in this game. The fact of the matter was, though, they just waited a bit too long there. If the Flames had snuck in that shot even a second earlier, that bounces and then goes on in, and the Shadow and Flames go to game number 4 overtime. But unfortunately, Chaser, we now know the results of the series no matter what. Even if Flames take game number 5, like we said, Shadow will take this series.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of if it's 4-1 or 3-2 at this point. We can put the brooms away, folks. They're gone from existence for this series at the very least. So it's a heartbreaking way to lose the series for the Flames. Like you said, if it had been maybe 1 or 2 seconds left on the clock, that's definitely a goal. Tie going to overtime, and who knows what's going to happen in overtime. Anybody's game at that point. So
yeah, 100%.
Unfortunate for him, but hey, try to take this game 5 and at least limit the damage in this series.
I mean, beyond limit the damage in the series, give yourselves the best differential possible, because as it stands right now, it is 3-1. Shadow win this, they go +3 for the day. Shadow lose this, they go +1 for the day, and you only go -1 versus -3, and the Flames are very well aware of that. They want to give themselves the best differential possible, especially when it's this close of a series and this close of a division. Goals like that are going to be huge, hugely impactful.
Yeah, and these teams are very evenly matched, so it does not surprise me at all if the Flames come in and take this game here. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Flames are not able to secure this victory either. If the Shadow come in and win it really could go either way. Both these teams have performed very admirably in this series, and it really does come down to which team is going to be able to take over here when it matters most.
Yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing, is which team can clutch this one out the best. That's something we've seen many a times in the series, the teams getting nervous and panicking in the wrong positions. If you wanted to prove that all of that was just early series nerves and that there is no more of that, that you have got that clutch factor, right here is when to do it, especially for the Flames. The Shadow at this point, they might just be playing this one a little bit more relaxed. They know even if they lose this game that they don't necessarily need to panic, because they will still have the differential in their favor. But for the Flames, this is a chance for them to show what they're made of. This is a chance for them to show that, hey, even when you count us down and out, we are not quite down and out yet.
Yeah, and the win is really big here for the Shadow, as well as it's going to extend their lead in the division. So regardless of the result of this game here, they do end on a positive note, like you said. So at the end of the day, I think that's really the biggest thing, is they're going to get a shot on here. Mighty's going to get credited with a goal, and they're going to try to get as many points out of this as they possibly can.
Yeah, to be fair, if they did get a +4 differential, or excuse me, +3 differential on the day at 4-1, that would advance them to, I believe it would be 12-3. So at that point, you are far ahead of the rest of the competition, and it gives yourself a little bit of buffer room. But I don't think that they're quite there yet. I really do think that the Flames have got a good shot here to try and keep themselves close, but you're gonna have to find out. Pass the center like that needs to be capitalized upon, and while it is not gonna find Villain in the center, it at least will find its way into the back of the net.
Yeah, a very fortunate bounce here from the Flames, straight off that corner. Awkward positioning from Mr. Rares, and into the back of the net it goes. The lead right back to the Flames with triple threes on the clock. So, yeah, still plenty of time for both these teams to do whatever they need to do to get this win.
Absolutely plenty of time on the clock, and Shadow are starting to show themselves a little bit more of a defensive team this game. They're playing a lot of good defense, and well, they're also playing some solid offenses. They are getting awkward positions out of the Flames as a miss does arrive there, but I don't think that this one's quite done yet. I really do feel like the Flames have actually got some more offensive prowess left in them. They may have been pressed into defense and they will give up an own goal, but I have a feeling similar to the rest of these games, this is just going to be another slugfest of shots going back and forth.
And that's a great one coming in from Logic there to tie it right back up. Just great placement. Justin not able to reach out to get that. And into the back of the net it goes. 3:08 on the clock. So we've seen goals in quick succession like we have all series long. And now we're going to have to see which one's able to stop their opponents from getting anything generated on the offensive side.
Unfortunately for the Shadow, a double commitment like that into their opponent's half is not going to do them any favors. They will be able to make the clear out, and Duel in an awkward position has got to be careful with this touch, because now the Shadow, they had a chance, I should say, on offense. I was going to say they'll start an offensive push, but as a miss arrives, and another miss arrives because it's a flick from Duel, all of a sudden, cross court, the Flames will go up by 1.
Duel just beat Logic, and then just gets that great flick to go into the back of the net. Beats everybody, I'll even say. And we've seen that out of Duel already this series. They had another flick goal earlier on in this series that was really at a critical moment. This one giving them the lead here. And now Villain's got a chance the other way. There's nobody back here for the Shadow, and the Flames now have an insurance marker.
It's a rather odd game, to put it simply. Now all of a sudden we're seeing, I mean, we knew that defense wasn't necessarily a priority here, but game number 5, they've kind of just gone, all right, that's the end of this one. Let's just throw everything we've got at offense. And listen, as a fan, I'm not going to say no to this. It's a great shootout. We love to see this, but if I'm a manager or a coach, I'm pulling my hair out right now. First team to focus on their defense is most likely taking the game.
Well, here's another opportunity, and it looks like a trio of misses there from 2 Flames players and 1 Shadow player. They had opportunities to score, and now another double commit, but Duel is able to get it out, kind of being the MVP of Game 5 here, as that one goes to the back wall, gets cut off by Mighty. Another one goes out into the middle, and Logic is going to be there. 50 from Justin, pops it straight up. Logic not able to make contact on that. The ball kind of bouncing there at the midfield line. Good challenge coming in from Villain, sends it to the offensive half. Now trying to see what they can do with no boost. Good challenge coming in once again from Logic. That one towards the net with Duel will send it to the corner. But Logic, good read, is already there. And a demo comes out, but nothing to come from it this time.
A lot of big opportunities here, but no one able to capitalize quite yet. But to be fair, the Flame don't really need to try and capitalize here. They're up by 2, and with only about 100 seconds left, they just need to hold on and give themselves the best differential possible. As we've said already multiple times, it's a huge game for the Flame. If they do not win this one, they go down with a -3 differential for the day. They win this one, they only go -1, and they do not give too much of a lead to the Shadows. So they're focusing right now more than ever, I'd imagine. They want to try and keep this lead, and they want to slow down the Shadow offense at whatever cost.
Yeah, the difference is being 500 on the year so far, or not being 500 on the year at this point. It'd be an 8-8 or 7 and, or excuse me, yeah, no, 7 and 8. Right now they're 7 and 7 or 8 and 7. So they'll be above or below 500 depending on the result from this one. They're definitely looking to get that above 500 right now for the Flames. So another good shot coming in from the Shadow. Nobody's back, and well, unfortunately for Duel, they're not going to be able to make it back in time, and it's back to within 1 here for the Shadow.
I mean, they knew the risk here. Flame were playing extremely aggressively, and for the Flames, they need to focus on making sure that even though they want this offensive pressure, that they at least have someone on defense. Mentioned it going into this game that this was going to be a battle of offenses, but unfortunately, when there is a battle of offenses like this, whenever the defense makes an error, it's usually a glaring one.
Yeah, well, we're going to see if this is going to be another glaring one for the Flames or if they're going to be able to hang on here. Mr. Rares is going to keep pressure up for the time being. Mighty with a good touch away from the middle. Justin right back in. Villain is going to be able to intercept this one. Sends it again right back into the offensive path. And here comes Mr. Rares on the back line here. Mighty's going to have to get a good clear as well. Back down into the offensive half with 10 seconds remaining. It's going to be a last chance effort for the Shadow, and they may have to carry it full court.
I don't know if they're going to be able to do exactly that. Not much boost on the back end. Logic does pick up a little bit, but as they go to the sky for this one, it will be interrupted, and the Flames will indeed take game number 5. They do not take the series, but they do give themselves the best chance possible to at least stay in competition at the top of the division as they fall 3-2 on the series. And this is what we were hoping for, to be honest, Chaser. This was the back and forth we were looking for between these two teams. It's just unfortunate for the Flames that they couldn't take it into game number 5 with a chance to win the series.
Yeah, but like you said, they limited the damage and they were able to eliminate as much opportunity, the Shadow, to get a big lead in this early part of the season. So well done by them to get this game 5 victory and not let the mentality of, oh man, we lost the series, really sink in.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, is making sure that they keep this mentality throughout the rest of the season, because I'm going to be honest, this may not have gone your way in the first place. You know, this series didn't necessarily go in favor of the Flames, but I have a feeling when these teams, if they meet each other at the end of the season here, once they've had some time to try and adjust and figure out how to play, I'd say, a more solid defense, this could be a whole different series altogether. Two very, very strong teams, and I am very much looking forward to the improvements that they make throughout the season.
Absolutely. I mean, now we're looking at a Shadow squad that's sitting at 11-4. The Flames now sitting at 8-7, so they still are above 500, and they probably have a really good opportunity going into their next matchup that they have at getting a win and probably pushing themselves right close to the Shadow. Who knows what's going to happen here in MLE? I mean, anything is possible, as we've seen here. Teams that you would think are going to just blow teams out of the water, they don't necessarily do that. We saw that in the first series. And we saw it here. We thought that the Shadow might come out a little bit stronger as well, but the Flames, they hang tough.
Absolutely. They not only hung tough, but they really, for a second there, I think both of us can agree, we were thinking, oh, wow, this could be the reverse sweep. There could be a chance here that all of a sudden they bring this one back. Well, just a tad short, unfortunately, but a great series nonetheless. And unfortunately, Chaser, I think that's the end for you and I. 2 series in a row is an absolute pleasure, my friend, but all good things must come to an end, and we are going to have to move on to series number 3, where we will no longer be casting. But thank you guys so much for joining us on this journey. Absolutely incredible series back-to-back here, but we're not quite done for the day. You will have different casters, as we did say, but you will still have the same type of action here, as we do have the Elites versus the Wizards coming up next with Vitaly and Spidey, and you guys are going to absolutely want to see it. They are some phenomenal casters as well. So stick around. We're going to take a quick break, get all of that set up. When we return, it will be even more minor league esports action.